Hello, folks. This is Russell Longcore, the owner and editor of www.dumpdc.com. We at DumpDC are the leading secessionist website on the planet, and we show people that secession is the only logical choice for individual liberty and property rights on the North American continent. Now, today I'm going to actually just read an article for you that I wrote last week. We've had enormous amounts of visitors and a lot of attention to this article, and it's about secession naturally. But there are going to be a lot of people that won't see this because they're looking for articles, and what I'm trying to do is to put something on video so that people that are specifically looking at places like YouTube will be able to find this, or if they're searching for something secession related, that this will pop up in the search engines on page 1, and that people will be able to see this. So, and then once people see this video, then they'll be familiar with the fact that that DumpDC exists, and then they'll come visit us. So that's the reason for this. So I'm going to read this verbatim. These are my own words, and the article is entitled "State Secession: Is America Ready for Secession?" State secession is getting lots of attention these days. As I started to prepare this article, I found that over 40,500 times every month, people sit down at their computers and type in the word secession. So clearly it is becoming more and more popular to Americans. But what is happening in the United States that is causing people to search the internet about secession? Well, the number one reason that Americans are becoming interested in the secession movement is Washington, D.C. The three branches of government that make up the U.S. federal government are entirely out of control. Most federal spending is unconstitutional. Administration after administration expands the power of the federal system. The President and Congress are authorizing the printing of trillions of dollars and flooding the earth with the funny money. At the same time, D.C. politicians are borrowing money by the trillions and making debt slaves out of future generations. The politicians use the money to pay for wars being waged around the world, and with the so-called war on terror, we've been informed by D.C. politicians that the war will be unending into the future. Americans see that voting makes no difference, and that new politicians sent to Washington soon become as bad as the incumbents, because for politicians, nothing else matters than raising money and getting reelected. So more and more Americans are looking to secession movements as the potential answer to end Washington's tyranny, both here and around the globe. Now, is secession legal? First, we need a definition of secession that is this: the action of withdrawing formally from membership of a federation or body, especially a political state. In other words, secession from the Union, for example. Note that Notice that the secession definition speaks of withdrawing. There is nothing whatsoever in the U.S. Constitution that binds the states in perpetuity, forbidding them to withdraw from the Union. As we define secession, we must acknowledge that any person or political entity is free to stop being a member of a federation or body when membership no longer serves the interest of the person or the political entity. Think of it like joining a group like the American Association of Retired Persons, the AARP. You pay your fee and you're in, and you stay in as long as you receive some benefit. But when and if you no longer perceive that you're receiving any benefit, or even further, that AARP is working against your interest, you withdraw your membership. Now, question comes up. Didn't Southern secession settle the question once and for all? Well, no, it did not. Even after the Civil War ended, Congress did not pass any law prohibiting secession, nor has there ever been a constitutional amendment even proposed to prohibit state secession. So the secession question remains open to this day. Calling secession civil war is actually an error. There was no attempt by the southern states to overthrow the U.S. federal government, and civil war is defined by one group trying to take over the government. The southern states simply enacted an order of secession, better known as an ordinance of secession, to dissolve their bonds to the other U.S. states. U.S. secession activities. You may remember that after the presidential elections last November, a flood of secession petitions were posted at the White House website. Nearly every state was represented by petitioners, and although this is not the method whereby a state secedes, it does give a glimpse into the national mood about politics as usual. People are fed up and they want change, and more people are coming to view state secession as the only solution to protect individual liberty and property rights in North America. There are presently secession movements in Vermont, New Hampshire, Alaska, Hawaii, and Texas. The Texas nationalist movement is the most widely known and active secession movement in the U.S. today. They are making serious inroads into Texas secession, and secession is a very serious subject in the Lone Star State. We believe that Texas will be the first state to secede, and that the secession of Texas is nearly inevitable. We here at DumpDC are convinced that the only trigger for secession will be an economic collapse as the U.S. dollar ceases to be the world reserve currency. The BRICS nation, now B-R-I-C-S, means Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Those BRICS nations are presently working toward creating a new world reserve currency to wrest control of world finance away from Washington. The moment that the dollar is no longer considered the world reserve, it will become worthless almost overnight. Only then, when the states have their very survival at stake, will they step up to secession. And we predict that the United States of America will follow the collapse of the USSR in 1989, and that within a few years, the old United States of America will only be found in history books. That ends this article. DumpDC, 6 letters that will change history. Permission to share this, whole or in part, is gladly given, provided that full credit is given to www.dumpdc and the author, Russell D. Longcore. That's me. So thank you folks very much for watching this. Come visit us at dumpdc.com. You'll see a link just below this that you can just click on and come visit us at dumpdc.com and learn more about secession, the only hope for individual liberty and property rights on the North American continent. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.